I'm Brad Fox. I'm the SVP of Health Media at dentsu. And I oversee kind of all of our clients' business from a health and pharmaceutical standpoint, from buying, planning, activation, audience strategy, and development, kind of run the gamut.
Awesome. When you think of precision marketing
Yeah.
in health today, how do you think it has evolved from maybe where we were just a couple of years ago?
I think the biggest thing that we see is the availability of data and what data is available, but also how readily available it is. I think the days of when I started working in pharma and it was like, okay, if you want an audience build, it's 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That is certainly a thing of the past. I think the regular availability of claims data and the speed at which it can be refreshed or accessed, both on the patient side and physician side, has really changed the game and the way that we do business on a daily basis.
Along those lines, what signals do you think people are still underutilizing? Behavioral, contextual, clinical? Are there signals you think people are not using?
I think surprisingly, the biggest thing that we see right now is, and have seen as an opportunity, is to use clinical data more, especially on the HCP side, where you can understand a physician's behavior and what they're doing, and really use that data to supplement the audiences or target lists that we're getting from our clients, for example. We would be naive to think that our clients' target lists are all encompassing.
Yeah.
So that's one of the places that we've really kind of prided ourselves on, is use the clinical data that's available to reach physicians that might be prescribing in category that aren't on a target list, or even physicians that are writing scripts for our clients' brands, but may not necessarily be covered by a sales rep, so they're not on your target list. And I think that's where there's an opportunity for media to really prove itself, but also to be smart about how we're using data.
Yeah. Love that. Can you share a moment where maybe optimization or even precision marketing has changed the outcome of a campaign? And what was it that shifted?
Yeah. We had a campaign, it was kind of 2024 into 2025 and continuing now, where we pivoted the way that we were optimizing from some of the more traditional media metrics to those clinically driven insights, whether it's things like audience quality and audience quality index is kind of our key optimization lever on the patient side. On the physician side, some of that clinical data that we were just talking about, and prioritizing reaching those physicians who are over-indexing in those clinical behaviors.
Yeah.
And we saw pretty dramatic increases in impact. Everything from the amount of diagnosed patients that we were reaching on a monthly basis, the amount of physicians who were writing in category or for the brand that we were reaching. And ultimately, we saw an increase in conversions, which is the name of the game.
Yeah. Talk to me about a little bit about, I think there's always like a gap between the business metrics or health outcomes or even front-end media metrics.
Yes.
How do you think about moving beyond maybe some of those front-end metrics toward script lift or an outcomes-based approach?
Yeah. I think we've been super fortunate, honestly, that our clients have been really receptive to it and have pushed us in that direction for the last 18 months to 2 years. I have a client who says, I don't care what the click-through rate is, and reminds us.
That's music to my ears.
Reminds us of that on a regular basis. So they've kind of helped push us in that direction already.
Yeah.
But our reports on a regular basis, when we're doing monthly reporting for clients and things like that, is a pretty well blended mix of those media metrics, but then the more downstream things, whether it's some of our GA4 data and website metrics. But then, for example, like every monthly report that we do includes audience quality and audience quality index on the patient side. We're looking at those more detailed HCP metrics that are available in the various platforms that we're working with. And we're pretty much fully integrated with those metrics being our priority and what we use on a monthly basis.
I'm biased because I work at DeepIntent, but do you think that that is something unique that DeepIntent brings to the table? Or, what are you finding that, of why you're using DeepIntent versus any other platform?
I think the depth of metrics that DeepIntent offers, and kind of right back to where we started in terms of how readily available the data is something that we've seen to be really beneficial in our partnership with DeepIntent, and something that really excites us. I mean, it's pretty clear that you guys have made that a priority and something that you've invested in.
I want to talk a little bit about HCP and DTC and the coordination of those strategies. Where do you think teams commonly struggle when they're trying to execute the coordination between HCP and DTC?
I think it's the challenge is when you treat them as separate things. For some of our clients, we run like point of care geofencing tactics,
Oh, interesting.
where it's kind of compliant and we're able to do so. But taking that one step further, not just saying, all right, let's target every address on our target list, but laying in additional sets of data there. So if we think that there are patients visiting that physician and we know we can reach that physician, how are we overlaying additional data like an HCP target list on top of the address so that we're reaching only the physicians that are in that building? I think if you use New York City as an example,
Yeah.
you could reach a lot of people that aren't relevant with an HCP campaign if you're not using the right level of data.
Yeah.
But then similarly on the patient side, okay, if we think patients are going to that address, overlaying either a third-party data segment or excluding people that are frequently visiting that location, things like that, because the end goal is to have a physician and patient kind of meet in that key moment, having both seen a brand's message and have an informed conversation.
How do you measure that meeting?
In our current landscape, it's leaning on the PLD and seeing which physicians that we're reaching on a regular basis with which of our tactics that we're running, and seeing if we're able to influence any change in behavior.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not going to be able to evaluate that as closely on the patient side, but looking at the correlation between what we're doing from a media standpoint on the HCP side, the physician level data that we're getting from our media partners and providing to our clients, and seeing what that does from a prescribing behavior standpoint.